Non-American people, what's a thing that you don't understand about America? Story 1. I'm not American, but I am a relatively new mom, and I spent a lot of time on the pregnancy and parenting subreddits. I would like to clear up a misunderstanding here. There is no state-funded or federally guaranteed parental leave. Not a single day. If you're lucky, your job has some parental leave, but they are not required by law to give you anything, so it would be purely out of the goodness of their hearts. What they do have is FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act. FMLA protects you from losing your job if you need to take time off work for family or medical reasons, unpaid, for up to 6 weeks per year. Say you had a medical emergency in January and it prevented you from doing your job for 6 weeks, so you take out FMLA, then find out you're pregnant in March. Baby is born in October. You already used your FMLA, you can spend PTO, vacation days, and you can beg on bended knees that your employer allows you to take a few weeks off unpaid. But you don't get neither paid nor unpaid leave. And not even all places of employment has the right to FMLA. I had a minor breakdown in pregnancy with all my hormones when I read about a woman in Utah who was in the exact scenario described above. She had a medical emergency early in the year, spent FMLA, PTO, and vacations days in her recovery, then found out she was pregnant and due in autumn. She worked until the day she went into labor. Then, the day after she birthed her baby, she put on her husband's trousers because they were the only ones she could comfortably fit over her nappy and went to work. For comparison, American law dictates you can't separate a puppy from their mama for the first 8 weeks of life. American dogs have more rights than American moms. Story 2. Why everything is just so damn supersized. My first time in America, I went to get iced coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. I ordered a large and my friend is like, "Are you sure you want large?" Yeah, no biggie. In the UK, a large is not overwhelming. I was expecting the same kind of thing. Oh my god, it was like a goddamn bucket of coffee. I think maybe a small would have been equivalent to a UK large lesson swiftly learnt. Edit. Wow. Lots of replies. I had no idea you guys didn't get vacation days. And that sucks so hard for you. The large portions weren't an inherently bad thing. I really felt in the 2 I've been to America that I totally got my money's worth when eating out. You guys even give free popcorn or breadsticks at the table. It was just a bit of a culture shock, I guess. In the UK, for example, certain coffee shop chains don't even offer a large iced latte because of sugar content, so the size is capped medium. Story 3. It's a crapshoot. My university had us take this giant personality quiz that was mostly random questions about music, movies, and art, and they spit it through an algorithm and it matched us up perfectly. I got put with a brilliant match freshman year. I took care of him while he was pledging his frat, and when he became president, I got to go to every single event without even being Greek. 1010 would do again. Big edit for those asking. So there's a series of social clubs in US colleges and universities. The clubs are called fraternities and sororities. They're divided by gender. But since all these social clubs use Greek letters to identify themselves, Alpha Delta Pi was the third best sorority. Delta Delta Delta, nicknamed Tri-Delt, was the best when I was in school, for example. It's called the Greek system. These clubs are essentially the basis of social life and structured social status for most of the hot rich party kids at school. To get in, you have to pledge the fraternity, etc., as a freshman, which often involves extreme hazing, drinking until you puke every night, being publicly humiliated by having to wear fairy wings to class, having to carry the seniors' books, etc. For girls, it's different. A common bizarre test would involve going to a place with a huge buffet of food and being automatically eliminated if you eat any of it. American frats and sororities are often known as being extremely elitist and problematic, especially in terms of sex, but that's a totally different can of worms. Anyway, once you get in, not only do these frats or sororities offer amazing potential job opportunities due to their alumni network, the parties that frats throw are nuts. Sororities aren't allowed to throw house parties, only formal off-campus events for the sorority girls and their dates. These events are sort of like mild frat parties at a restaurant or club where you have to dress up. Again, can of worms. Like, whatever you've seen in the movies, these parties are 10x the bacchanal. That's sort of the whole point. For frat parties, for example, they'll spend $50K to hire some huge name-brand DJ. The frat party house throwing the event is fully decked out and swimming in glitter and alcohol, and any girl can go. But the guys allowed to attend are limited to being in the frat, and therefore on the list. which means it's almost impossible to attend if you're not either in the frat yourself or friends with the frat leaders, which, again, is morally sketchy, and I now understand why my dad totally forbid me to ever join one myself. Plus, there are tons of other events, spring break in Cabo, 5-star restaurants, etc. It's quite nuts and very American. Luckily, my freshman year roommate was one of the most upstanding guys I've ever met, and he got elected as president pretty quickly and ran a completely clean house, not creepy or awful at all. So I got the advantage of getting to go to all of these Lux frat events without having to pay the $6,000 frat fee per year or spend a semester puking my guts out during hazing. And it was all because of some algorithm-driven questionnaire I took as a high school senior. Story 4. The culture of just talking to people, strangers you don't know, and just up and start a conversation with them or join a conversation. I am British and we go through great lengths to not talk to people, let alone opening up and pouring our hearts out to a random person. I'm from the Western US and moved to South Carolina for a few months for work. I was very surprised at how many random people in public just started conversations with me. If you are standing in line for anything, it is a given that they will chat you up in the South. Story 5. I'm American, but I've worked with a lot of people who aren't. The one thing they always wonder is why Americans are so obsessed with the NFL. They think it's a boring sport. They explained, you wait for 30 seconds, they hike the ball, you get about 5-10 seconds of action, then you wait another 30 seconds, another 5-10 seconds of action, then commercial break. Story 6. My mom is from Moscow during the Soviet era, and she is confused why there is no teacher-student hierarchy. She thinks it's weird when teachers participate in school plays or speak to students informally. She also does not get pajama day. To her, it's just the weirdest thing in the world. In Russia, there is an important distinction between clothes for home and clothes for outside. They have a concept of home clothes, like your cozy or ugly clothes, that you are supposed to change into after school or work. At bedtime, you change out of your home clothes into pajamas. As a result, pajamas, for both adults and children, are considered extra private in Russia. My mom perceives pajama day as something extreme like wearing only undergarments to school. That's how private pajamas are considered to be in Russia. Story 7. I'm English. Was born with cerebral palsy. I can walk but with a very noticeable limp. I came to America to visit friends who moved here. Everyone was so friendly. Hardly anyone commented on my disability. If they did, it was just polite questions, not making fun of me. I loved it here, so much so I've been here for 23 years. For all of America's faults in recent years, the people here are just way more accepting of people in general. Edit. I'm truly touched by everyone's kind words and questions. Truly, Reddit can be a great place when we all get along. Story 8. I do not understand why Americans are portrayed to be very racist and discriminating in most news or media around the world. I got to work for a couple of months in DC, and prior to arriving, I was expecting to be racially discriminated against. I'm Asian, because of the things I see on the news. I was blown away by just how friendly and accepting the people are in general. Folks would just be striking random conversations with me while I'm crossing the street and wishing me a good day. Even if I spoke with an accent, people didn't mind, and just talked to me as if they were speaking to another American. In all honesty, I felt more accepted by Americans as compared to fellow Asians when I visited Japan, Hong Kong, Korea, or Thailand. And off topic, but the original Chick-fil-A sauce is seriously delicious. I took a couple of bottles home because they were so good. Story 9. Why do Americans put their TVs so high up the wall? I understand that sometimes it's because there's a fireplace below where it should be, but how do they even watch the TV without straining their necks? It's because a few home decorator channels on cable early in the flat-screen TV days did it, particularly over the fireplace. And they only did it because A, they could, and B, people on those shows are idiots. Then everyone started emulating them because it seemed convenient, and then wondered why their necks hurt so much. Not everyone is like that though. Not gonna say who, but I once did some telecom wiring for a house owned by a famous very short Scientologist who's famous for a movie where he's the pilot of an F-14, and there was a guy working there on installing the TV. This guy talked my ear off about the correct way to mount a TV at the right height. First, you gotta get your seating in. Then you have to measure or estimate the eye height of the people sitting in those seats and average them. Then, once you have the average eye height, you mount the TV such that an imaginary horizontal line 2/3 of the total screen height up from the bottom of the TV is at that level. That will get you perfect viewing angle with no neck pain.